exam study guide video. Unit 1 to start off with, defining criminal and civil law, the difference there. Again, criminal law is up to or punishable by the prosecutors, the government. You broke a law, something like that, and they charge you with a crime. Civil law is regulating relationships between people and groups. There's lawsuits that are brought by people or groups, products and things like that. We'll get to that in Unit 2. The differences between a felony and misdemeanor. Felonies, up to a year or over a year. Serious crimes, murder, robbery. Misdemeanors are less than a year in jail. A lot of times that's just fines and things like that. Maybe shoplifting, disputes between people, assault and battery. So what is jurisprudence? That definition is just the study of legal law and legal philosophy. Judicial review is something the Supreme Court has, that the process by which courts decide whether the laws passed are constitutional or not. So Congress can't violate your rights or violate the Constitution. Legislative intent is when judges are determining what the writer meant. So what the Congress people or the people writing the laws, what they meant by the law when they wrote it and what they intended it for it to do. Qualifications to be a juror: you have to be a U.S. citizen, 18 years old, resident of that state, and speak and understand English. Impreparatory challenges is when you're getting rid of jurors, to dismiss a juror without a reason. What ways can a lawyer remove someone from being part of a jury? Again, is that preparatory challenge or the removal for cause? So maybe you know someone in the case, you don't feel they're capable of delivering a fair trial, you ask the judge for that person to be removed. Different participants in a civil and criminal case. Again, the civil case, the plaintiff versus the defendant, where the criminal case is the prosecutor versus the defendant. And there are 9 judges on the Supreme Court. And there's some terms you're going to need to look up for Unit 1. Some more terms for Unit 2. Again, use your notes and your online textbook. Looking at Unit 2, then we have negligence, and we have 4 elements there. Negligence, duty, breach of duty, causation, damages. Those 4 things must be fulfilled in order for that person to maybe be found guilty or win a judgment for negligence. Reasonable person standard is what they use in the court. What would a person who always acts responsibly do, and they compare that to what happened in that situation. Different types of defenses to negligence suit: contributory, maybe laws that protect the defendant if the plaintiff avoided warning, so maybe there's no swimming sign, no diving that might help someone. Or comparative, allows judges to award damages based on who was most at fault. So maybe there was fault on both sides, who had more fault, and they do some percentages there. 3 areas for strict liability: dangerous activities, animals, defective products. What are the 2 elements then? All they need is causation and damages. So it's harder to defend yourself in a strict liability case because you only have to prove those 2 and you're liable no matter what. Again, it's harder to prove a negligence case because there's those 4 areas. You have to look at the duty and the breach of duty. In Unit 2, then we talked about remedies and tort remedies. So like the fix, it's the solution, but usually it's monetary, so money is involved. And when and why do tort cases go to trial? Unable to place blame. No one's going to place blame. They can't agree on something. They can't settle outside of court, so then they decide to go to trial. And then the 3 types of damages: being able to explain those, compensatory, to compensate, award the individual, the plaintiff, with money for the defendant's wrongdoing. Nominal, often found like, yeah, that was my fault. Maybe something has to be done, like something has to be removed. Maybe it's only $1 then. Then there's punitive, so those large sums of money. A lot of times this happens at companies meant to punish that person beyond just compensating. So like, let's not do it again. Let's show an example to everyone. This is how much money you may be liable for. Last unit then, Unit 3, what is the difference between an accessory before the fact and after? Again, before, someone helping the crime before. After, helping after the crime occurs, and in both scenarios they know a crime is going to occur. What is the difference between solicitation, conspiracy? Solicitation, trying to get someone to commit a crime for you, where conspiracy, you're actually trying to work with someone to commit the crime together, and in order to get out of that conspiracy you have to tell the authorities before the crime actually occurs. And then what must exist in order for a crime of omission to occur? Not performing something, so failing to do something, failing like to pay your taxes. There's some more definitions for Unit 3. What types of searches are prohibited by the 4th Amendment? Unreasonable searches and seizures. And then the TLO versus New Jersey case is an important case for high school students and students in general. that student was suspected of smoking in the bathroom. They needed was reasonable suspicion. So schools only need reasonable suspicion to search someone at school. And the last couple, make sure you kind of practice these. What does law define in your own words? What does the law consist of? And then what is the difference, again, between criminal and civil law?